there's been a lot of talk about customization in terms of advertising because of your ability to target the message to the individual. As a user of Pandora, it's not entirely clear to me the degree to which any given ad is in fact customized to me. Can you shed some light into that? I mean, to what degree is your advertising targeted to individuals or types of individuals, and to what degree is it bulk?
Yeah, it's in terms of truly targeted individuals, it really our advertising isn't targeted anything close to individuals. I mean, I think as everyone knows or could learn quickly on Pandora, when you register, we get people's birth year, their zip code, and their gender. Obviously, we know the kind of music people are listening to. And virtually all of our advertisers use some combination of that, age, gender, geography, and music type to target advertising. But it's at that level of breadth as opposed to, we don't offer any targeting that's, hey, we've got this message for Mark Ramsey, even Mark Ramsey in anonymized form. That's not what we do or how we do it. And quite honestly, I don't think that's actually what advertisers are really interested in. I think there's a tremendous intersection between simple but powerful targeting variables that I think we were very fortunate at the time we launched with the variables that we chose at registration, that they represent that simple, powerful of targeting variables for advertisers.
Because I think it's worth noting that those variables may be simple, but you have them for the entire base of people who register for Pandora, whereas, let's say, the average terrestrial radio station has them only for a small fraction of their listeners today, right?
Right. I mean, literally for 75 million plus people, we have all of those variables, and that's a terrific tool.
Now, it's my perception that a lot of the advertising, and again, this is just from a consumer standpoint, the advertising, what fraction of it is national, what fraction of it is kind of regional, and what fraction of it is actually local in my market? I mean, originated from my market.
Yeah, it's a good question, and again, everyone's ad experience is different. Just even depending on your, what age you are, you're going to have a different experience. We started, when we sold our very first ad over 5 years ago, it was a national ad campaign. And really, if you study Pandora over the years, we started with big national brand advertisers buying CPM-based advertising, really coming out of digital interactive budgets. Over time, we have launched other elements of that have increased the level of radio advertising, what people in the digital world would call audio advertising. And have increased the component that is local, and so we're kind of in a migration in which all of those elements continue to grow for us, which is great, but I think are still finding kind of what their equilibrium is, and we really won't know what that equilibrium is, maybe for some number of years.
Okay. I know you're not here to pontificate to terrestrial broadcasters, and I appreciate that. Nevertheless, flip the tables for me for a second. If you were on the terrestrial broadcaster side, what do you think the most important things that terrestrial broadcasters can learn from Pandora?
Again, it's not something I really I think about a lot. I mean, in many ways, I'm inspired by, if I didn't love radio in its traditional form, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. There were years when radio was my kind of only lifeline as a busy person to music, and our goal is to take that and just make that better and better. I think part of why it's such a struggle for me is, again, my background is ultimately an engineering background as an undergrad. The technologies are just so different. Mm-hmm. Broadcasting as a technology is one-to-many, one way, and the internet is one-to-one, two-way. And I don't think you really can, in some sense, take lessons from one and apply it to the other. I think when you're in and using a broadcast technology, you've got to take advantage of what that technology enables you to do and kind of take it to the max. And And when you're using internet technology, again, unicast, one-to-one, two-way, it's about taking advantage of what that enables. And so, although we certainly are all together in this world of radio, our heads are 100% around how do we take advantage of this unicast, one-to-one, two-way nature of the internet, and make the greatest possible consumer experience out of that. It happens to be radio, but it's just so different in its technology foundation.
I think there are a lot of people who kind of presume that Pandora believes radio to be the enemy, and in a lot of ways, radio perceives Pandora to be the enemy. But what you're describing is more of a kind of, peaceful coexistence where Pandora is built around one proposition, which is personalization in large part, and radio is built around a different proposition, which is being intensely local, being personal, not personalized, being, kind of that voice on the other end of the speakers that creates a degree of comfort and familiarity. There are differences between the two media which can allow them to coexist, right?
Yeah, and again, I might actually pick different dimensions from the ones you chose. I mean, certainly broadcast, again, being one-to-many, one-way, it is certainly a great medium for, we all perhaps tuned into the BCS National Championship football game last night. Mm-hmm. That's made to be a broadcast experience. We're not looking for different versions of that. It's happening all at the same time. Probably, the Sirius XM guys, I think, carried that. It's made for a broadcast model. There's no particular advantage to serving that over a unicast, two-way technology. It fits a broadcast model. I think there's a range of programming that fits that model, really well. And I wouldn't pretend to be a tremendous student of the history of media, but I think to some extent the history of media is, as different media have come along, what's happened is that the media tightens up in terms of doing, the older media tightens up in terms of doing what it does uniquely well. I mean, I think we all know that radio started out as the entertainment, and broadly speaking, the entertainment medium before the introduction of television. It's what the family gathered around in the evening and listened to War of the Worlds, or you name it. And then television came along, and radio refocused in terms of the content that it was uniquely good at, and television carved off kind of a different piece of that. Wasn't by any means the end of radio, but there was this kind of resegmentation of what they each did. And I'm not sure what all the answers are, but it wouldn't surprise me that if we look back in 20 years or 30 years, we say, oh, something similar happened. The internet came along and it enabled certain experiences to be done uniquely well. And what AM and FM did, or broadcast radio did, was kind of resegment the market to the things that it did uniquely well, different from what the new internet medium enabled.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. I like that answer. When you and your crew at Pandora start each day, what is the purpose that drives you?
No question. The purpose of that gets us going, that keeps us going, Lord knows this has been at times a very long, tough slog, is we have a vision, a belief, a dream that we can connect ultimately around the world billions of people who enjoy music with the millions of people who create great music, and be that connective tissue and solve the problem both from the consumer side of how do I find music that I love and connect to it, regardless of where it came from, and from the music creator side. Again, Tim was a musician, and we're deeply inspired by the musician side of this, of how do we enable all the people creating great music in this world to connect with their audiences. It's helpful to tell the story that when Tim graduated from Stanford and spent his 10 years trying to be a rock star, literally the band drove around in a van, would go into town, would find billboards and telephone poles and staple on placards trying to get people to come to some bar that night to connect with the music they made. It's not that long ago that was the system for connecting created music with people who would enjoy it. And that's a horrible system. And we have a dream that we can make that system so much better, not just on a national scale, but ultimately on a global scale. And it's the opportunity to solve that problem that really is the fundamental kind of motivation and purpose of Pandora.
Joe Kennedy is the CEO of Pandora. Joe, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for participating in this.
Mark, always great catching up with you. Thank you.